Hey y'all, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Bodice Siblings,
the podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
And then we drink about it. Hey everybody, hope you have your passports out, because you're about to get a Bodice Stifler stamp, because we are back on with some more airport book bullshit, aka Sidney Sheldon, The Redux. Here we go again.
Is it a tramp stamp?
Well, I mean, we can't call it a tramp stamp because all the Sidney Sheldon people will come after us.
Evidently the entirety of Saudi Arabia got really mad. We still get YouTube comments that are like really upset with us. We have people who've like gone and listened to other episodes and then commented on those other episodes. They're still mad about what we did to Sidney Sheldon.
They are a fanatical little group, and you know what? We're coming back for you. We are doing another Sidney Sheldon book, aka The Sands of Time.
The thing is, we actually liked Bloodline. Like, we were generally positive.
If I had to choose between The Sands of Time or Bloodline, I'm going to choose Bloodline.
I liked this book a lot more than Courtney did, but I did, this is a childhood memory for me. I did read this book as a very young person who should not. By the way, don't let your 11-year-old read this book, because this book has in it what? Tell us the trigger warnings.
Oh my God. So y'all sit down, because this episode is basically one big trigger warning. Yeah, I've got like a whole notebook, you know, a Spanish Inquisition's worth of names for trigger warnings. This book is basically, if you wanted to know, if we took the movie Benji the Hunted.
Don't you talk about Benji.
And applied it to nuns, that's what you would have. This book is to Catholic nuns what the reboot of Jurassic Park is to dinosaurs. It is essentially like just snuff porn.
Okay, so we have sexual assault, both past, present, and I guess future. Like in everybody's got a tragic backstory. A lot of them have sexual assault, and there's a current like shocking gang rape in it.
Yes. It also has a lot of animal I don't even know, like okay, so the wolves die, the bulls die. Sidney was in his Hemingway mode when he wrote this, because it was basically just like a bullfighting is a noble, beautiful thing, and we all love it. And I'm like, oh my God, you just want to make out with a dude so hard. Just do it. Just fucking do it and stop writing about killing animals. So we have, not only do we have wolf murder, we have bull murder, but we also have bulls murdering. Now, the bulls are just doing what they're supposed to do, but, you know, it was a setup bull murder.
Well, because like the larger thing is that we have like a terrorist.
Yes, we have
the
domestic terrorism.
Hero.
We have international terrorism. We have bad government. We have
state-sponsored execution, like ugly the kind. Just, you know, everything you can imagine an airport book doing. We have boss-ass business bitches doing dirty deeds, which I'm sorry is a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah, and they're not done dirt cheap. Like, that's expensive.
Oh, yeah, she spends a lot of money by the end of that, so I guess she's learned her lesson.
Switches. We got like... this book is bonkers.
Yeah, so if anything you can imagine reading in a book would be troubling to you, don't read this one, because guess what? It's The Sands of Time by Sidney Sheldon. So we have talked about Sidney Sheldon before, but just as like a tiny little reminder, because this is not a romance. This is the airport novel, which we don't make anymore. Now, airport novels are like Where the Crawdads Sing. But it used to be that like men and women both read these incredibly disposable, what would you call them? Maybe action adventure books, sort of?
Yeah, I think action adventure like
with the romantic
epic, like these epic stories that are bigger than life, feel very soap opera-y. It feels very like CBS movie of the week kind of.
Like a big mini series.
Yeah.
And in fact, some of them were big miniseries. Like I'm thinking about Shogun, for example, or War and Remembrance, like that kind of thing. It used to be an airport
good
novel.
example, if you want to refer back to one that we have done, is The Thornbirds.
Yes, The Thornbirds. Or, for example, Bloodline by Sidney Sheldon, who, of course, also wrote for the screen. And so you can always feel it in his stuff. So anyway, this is not a romance, but it has a lot of romantic elements. And I picked it because I I had strong memories of this book from when I read it when I was like 11. I read pretty much all of Sidney Sheldon at the time. And mostly what I remembered of it was a bunch of nuns getting raped to death. It turns out, actually, no, I was wrong.
One.
No, she doesn't get raped to death. She gets strafed by bullets because while she's being gang raped, she steals a gun from somebody. So I guess joke is on 11-year-old me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this book is like banana fucking pants. And I'm sorry, Saudi Arabia. You can come at me however you want to, because quite frankly, the more you're mad at me, the stronger I get. Your comments on our YouTube stream only makes us make fun of your stickers. You want me to read that cover?
Yes, and tell us when the book was published.
Yes, the book is published in 1988. Which is late. I would have thought it was in the 70s, honestly, for this. And it is set in the late 70s. Just kind of keep that in mind. So technically, I guess it is a historical, but it's a recent historical. And I'm going to put a post on our website with all the amazing covers, because this book has banana pants covers. 4 nuns find themselves suddenly thrust into a hostile world they long ago abandoned for the safety of the convent. Unwittingly, they become pawns in a battle between the charismatic Jaime Mero, leader of the outlawed Basque nationalists, and the ruthless Colonel Ramon Acoca of the Spanish army. I apologize. All the Spanish speakers anywhere near us are from Latin America, and so I cannot do Espanol. I can't. If you want a Spanish thing, I cannot do it. I apologize. 4 women and the men they are forbidden to love. Megan, the orphan, who feels an overpowering attraction to Jaime. Lucia, the fiery Sicilian beauty on the run from murder. And Rubio Arzano, the freedom fighter who risks his life to save her. Teresa, whose guilty conscience finally drives her to betray her friends. Graciela, who bears a terrible secret that almost destroys her, and the courageous Ricardo, who loves her. From the same author of the books The Other Side of Midnight, Rage of Angels, Bloodline, and Windmills of the Gods, the book is set in Spain and centers around 4 nuns and their unwitting involvement with outlawed Basque nationalists in the Spanish army. Oh boy. So we don't actually know how to tell you what happened in this book because so many things happen in this book.
This book... It's easier to probably, I think like we've done with big books before in the past, we'll just kind of pick a person and go through their story. I think that is probably the easiest way to do it. So we start off in Paploma, and it is the running of the bulls, and we talk about the history of the running of the bulls and, all the things that,
your garbage
men
bull
say
running
about this bullshit thing that is really just animal cruelty. But we open with this, the running of the bulls is happening, and the bulls get diverted. You don't know why, but the bulls get diverted and it basically just start mauling the public. Not the assholes running with them, but just people who are like, hey, we should go watch this.
It's literally babies and old people.
Babies and old people and toddlers. It's yeah. And we find out that this is just a diversion.
So yeah, the whole thing was a very elaborate plot for this Basque nationalist terrorist hero. And I mean, we're not saying anything in this about the Basque cause or the Catalan cause or whatever. We have absolutely... This book has nothing to do with that.
Nobody, even the people in the book, have any skin in the game for Spanish politics.
No. So when we say this guy is a terrorist who just killed a bunch of babies, and we're saying that that's bad, we're not saying that the cause of Basque nationalism is bad.
No.
We're saying that this person in this book is bad. So let me just say that.
He's like, oops, I didn't mean for that to happen.
Ooh, well, that's inconvenient. Somebody's going to have to cclean that up.
Because he goes and breaks a couple of his buddies out of jail who were sentenced to be garroted, and he sets off this bull situation as a diversion, and then is shocked when the bulls are bulls and do shit that bulls do. He's like, oh. So
who could have thought that was going to happen?
This is Jaime. Jaime is our revolutionary. He is the person that the story kind of while it's centered around these nuns, he is the person that is the driving force behind everything.
He moves the plot. So we find out that Jaime is being hunted by this Colonel Acoca, not Colonel, Colonel Acoca, who has insane power within the government because he's backed by some kind of secret society.
Yeah, so basically Dan Brown took Sidney Sheldon's like shadow government and was like, hey, you know, this is 100% Hundo P true. And we have this, like the prime minister of Spain even was like, oh, I'm scared of this guy because he's got this, you know.
There's no reason for this to be in this book. Honestly, like it's like a through line through this book and it comes to pretty much fucking nothing. It's weird that this is in here, but it's in here. And you get the impression, even in the afterwards, Sidney Sheldon is like, they're still out there. I don't fucking know. So anyway.
Maybe he knows. Maybe he's like, maybe it's like the Star Whackers that.
The what?
Oh my God. Randy Quaid's Star Whackers is the greatest Vanity Fair article of our time was Randy Quaid, who is now living in like Canada being insane.
I know he's not well.
Yeah. He is convinced that there is a shadow group called the Star Whackers who are out to like murder him and other, you know, Hollywood elites.
Does he think that he's a Hollywood elite?
I mean, he did save the day in Independence Day.
That's true.
So, but anyway, so it's basically like the Star Whackers, but
sure, okay. But so anyway, that's a factor in this book. It doesn't matter. It's just another crazy fucking thing about this book. So Akoka has it in for the church specifically.
Yeah.
For like he has a dumb tragic backstory that's not even important. But
somebody he knew got murdered at a church. It's not even like the church did anything. He just like, hey, that guy went to church and he got murdered, so fuck you, church.
Everybody's got baggage about this because Jaime also hates the church because Guernica.
Here's the thing. Speaking for somebody who is like, you know, nominally of the Catholic faith, like, look, if you're Latin Catholic, then you're just at church all the time. Like, you got just a good chance of getting murdered at church as you do home because, like, you're in one of two places. Like, you're either at church or you're at home. Like, stop blaming the damn church for it. But Akoka and Jaime both hate the church. And I don't know how we get on it to where Akoka is convinced because Jaime has been seen in this region.
Well, because, like, evidently the church is sort of in hiding. It doesn't matter. So Akoka decides that Jaime's hiding out at...
It's like a sister...
Cistercian
monastery. If you know anything about the different sects, Cistercians are super fucking fun, y'all. Like, they're the most fun of your nuns.
These are almost like Poor Claire's. Like, these are, okay, so I don't know where about Spanish monasteries or whatever, but these are utterly cloistered, completely silent nuns.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like, I don't know.
Like, they are the most traditional and, like, most old school, no fun having. And I will say, like, part of my issue, and as we famously like to say, we'll expand on this later, a lot of my problem with this book is because of my Catholic innate, like, just if I see a nun, it's like if you see the police, you're always like, oh shit, they know. Like, you know that they know that you've done something wrong.
My mother used to be a nun.
I know.
I did not know that until I was 15. If y'all have not been listening until now, and you're like, what? Like, okay, like, just ask me later, okay? But
no,
it's
but
this whole thing.
I get so, like, And so, like, this whole book, I think it was just like, I was like, because, like, my Catholic nun sense was up. And I was just like,
Okay, ignore Coveney's nonsense. What actually happens in this book is that the Jaime is being hunted by Akoka. And so Akoka comes to this convent.
But he knows that he's not there, Base. I mean...
No, he doesn't. And just hold on, okay? So Akoka comes to the convent. I'm trying to set this up so then we can go on with the episode instead of getting up our own asses. So Akoka thinks that Jaime is at this convent, okay? This extremely a cloistered, silent convent. And so he comes in, and his dudes rape everybody, and 4 nuns run in the opposite direction.
Nuns on the run.
Nuns on the run. So, and one of them takes, like, the only good thing there, like this gold cross, which is like completely, like, who cares?
Yeah. So the Reverend Mother basically realizes what's happening, and she gives to her senior nun that's not her. She's like, I need you to take this. It's essentially their holy relic. It's a cross that's made of gold, but, you know, it has all this significance. She's like, I need you to take this and take it to the next, like, the closest house of God, which is, like, in, you know, whatever
The whole point is to get
province.
people moving, all right?
Yeah.
So, the next place over. And so, along with her, kind of accidentally, it's these 4 nuns. So, the nuns are as followed. And then we're going to kind of explain what happens to each of these nuns until they all meet back up again. Okay. So, we have Teresa, who is the oldest nun, who has been entrusted with this cross. Teresa was ugly as a child and a good singer and had a shitty fucking sister. That shitty sister ran off with Teresa's boyfriend and she went into the church. Okay? I know we were going to make that longer, but no, we're not. Okay? That's what happened to Teresa, and she's very comforted by the silence and devotion of the convent.
She's been in the church the longest for 30 years.
Yes. Megan is the young, blonde, pretty one. She comes from an orphanage. She has fantasies about who her family might be, but she does not know anything about them.
She's the craftiest one.
Yes. But she's like, in the orphanage, she was like the troublemaker and all, but everybody loved her.
Yeah.
But she also feels at home in the convent because she's never had a real home. That's Megan. Lucia is undercover at the convent because she's actually Lucky Santiago from that other book that we read. Her father is a Sicilian mafia don who like went to prison, and she's been revenge murdering everybody who sent him there.
But she's been revenge murdering everybody who sent him there via sex.
Yes, it's amazing. And so she's on the run, and she ended up like, ooh, I'm going to hide out here for a bit. That's Lucia. So she sees that gold cross, and she's like, I'm going to take that. Well, she has a Swiss bank account. She's headed to Switzerland for if she can just get there. And of course, she's always ended up heading in the wrong direction because that's how these things go. Graciela is the saddest story. Grew up as a child whose mother was a sex worker, and had kind of a parade of like uncles in and out. And there's some we forgot about the racism. Of course, we should have expected racism. There was a quote unquote Moor who went and like stayed with them for a while, and while she was like 14, it was kind of like not after her, but kind of after her, and kind of.
But she was into
and she was
she's
like,
also 14.
Yeah, so she's 14, so she's stupid. She's just like, I'm not a child. And so her mom caught them in bed together.
And threw her out.
Yeah, well, and beat
her. Yeah.
Like she had brain damage. So she has a scar under her hairline, and so she had nowhere else to go. And so she went into the convent. So these people all have backstories of varying trauma, but they have all found either comfort in the convent, or at least a safe place to stay while the entire Sicilian government is looking for you. I'm talking about you, Lucia. So anyway, now they're out of the convent and they're on the run, and they have not. I mean, even Lucia's been there for several months and has gotten very accustomed to the silence of the convent.
Yeah. So what happens at first is that Lucia is the one kind of like
took charge.
At first, she's like, "I'm out." And she's like, she's got the 3 of them, and she's like, I'll see you guys later. And then she just looks at them, and they all look like basically like lambs.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's like she comes back and it's like, fine, I'll take you as far as this. And then, things keep happening to where she ends up, she finds a town, and they get to this town, and they find this guy who says, oh, hey, by now, the news has gotten out about what happened, and everybody knows to be looking for these 4 nuns. And so this guy who says, oh, I'm a friar, he's like, well, we got to get you changed first. And, he breaks into a store. He's a con man. He breaks into this store. They all change clothes, and, it's kind of this interesting thing. Like, they've been cloistered for so long, having to put on, like, street clothes,
because it's the 70s, and they're all like, most of them went in a while ago, so they're like, what is this music, what is this, like, it's very much a culture shock for them.
And so they all like the 3 of them, it's Teresa and Megan and Lucia, like they are kind of wandering around. Graciela is like still changing, and like
he decides he's gonna fuck her
because she's like she is the unequivocally the hottest one. Yes. She's ethereal, and like they're
all hot except for Teresa, who has no sexual value because
she's in her
like,
60s, and so like she has no like sexual merit anymore. So he's assaulting Graciela, who this has happened to her before. Essentially, she kind of she retreats within herself, and Lucia's like, what the fuck is taking so long? So they get back, and like Lucia's like fuck this noise, sees what's happening, knocks his ass out, and like undresses him and ties him up and is like, see you later, pervert.
Yeah.
And she's like, boop, 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 hits the cash register and takes the money. And Teresa's like, what are you doing? She's like,
God left it here for us, hon.
yeah. So she's like, we gotta go. So they like go dip out.
But okay, so after that, like, business happens. But the important thing is that they run into Jaime and his people, who he has just gotten out of that jail in Pamplona. So his people are dumb enough to say, well, are we going to meet again in town? And she's like, those now, if they catch them, they'll know. We had to take them with us. You fucking idiots. Y'all are terrible at terrorism. So what they decide to do is all split up, which is a weird decision. Because now we had to keep track of these 3 groups of people. One of these groups of people has both Teresa, who has the cross, and Lucia.
Yeah.
And then one of them, Jaime, is with Megan, the blonde girl. And then Graciela is with another dude. All right. So
Rodrigo.
I can't believe you care about their names.
I do.
These dudes do not, except for Jaime, do not matter at all. So, yeah, in the group with Jaime, there's also a female terrorist whose name is Amparo. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. And she's also fiery, because everybody's fiery, because it's Spain, I guess. But they're in these 3 groups. And so the rest of the book spends time bouncing between them, and it's not the best choice. But... So the group that has Lucia and Teresa, but also has the gold cross, Teresa's getting increasingly, I guess, confused. She's, like I said, she's older. She's been in the convent longer, and she's less flexible, less capable of dealing with like this like change in circumstances. And she's beginning to kind of hallucinate. And what happens is that their group ends up, they're always dodging soldiers, like, just running through the countryside. And she goes down to tell the soldiers where they are because, she has some sort of paranoid fantasy about the devil. And so Akoka is there, or is called in. And Akoka is a famous torturer. And so to get more information out of her, you obviously can't get any information out of this woman. She's just like, she's clearly delusional. She's experiencing things that are not here in real life. But Akoka, like, to torture her, like, has her gang raped.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either, because she came to him willingly. She gave him all the information that, because, again, she basically went insane from being kind of in the outside.
Yeah, so she's obviously, you could tell that she's telling him all that she knows, and she thinks that the devil's there. But anyway, and this is what I remember most clearly from reading this when I was like 11. I remember the detail that they didn't even take their uniforms off. Like, I don't know, would it be weirder if they stripped all the way down? I'm not sure. But yeah. So yeah, they're just lining up and like taking their turns and all. And finally, like, she just like grabs one of their guns and shoots a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Like, go Teresa. And so then they grab a gun and to kill her, they shoot through the dude who's raping her, which, I mean, like, that's awesome, I guess. Like, it was up. Yeah. Like, I think it was, I appreciate that they, like, at the 11th hour, like, she did a thing, but it was somebody who, like, again, it's this very upsetting thing where you have somebody who is obviously not mentally well being sexually assaulted. I mean, it doesn't matter who's being sexually assaulted. No, but it's done as like to get information out of her, which doesn't even make any sense.
To me, I read it like, again, he hates the church, and so it was basically like, well, we're just gonna do this, like,
yeah,
and like, yeah. So yeah, she goes down in a blaze of glory. So good for her. She took out a bunch
and it's actually much more agency than I remembered it being, because, like, yeah, a bunch of them die at least. But then they go to kill, and so they kill one of, like, Jaime's guys, and then after that, it's just Lucia, like, running with the other guy. So it always works out, like, so, like, you see that there's going to be romance.
Paired off nicely. They're paired off very, So,
pretty much, yeah. So he and Lucia, whoever he is, are running, and then eventually, like, let's just compact it to like some different storylines until they all run back together again, because it's back and forth and for no good reason. So they have a rendezvous point, but it's going to take a long time for them to get there because it's through the countryside.
Days, it's like weeks, like a mountain kind of.
Yeah. So track. Like these things happen, like she wants to take a bath in a river and she gets swept away, and like she gets rescued from drowning and she wants that dick.
Oh, yeah. That is the thing. Like, everybody's instant cure for near-death experience is dick.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, okay.
so, yeah, Lucia, and I want to say his, like, he's Roberto or something.
They all have, like, an R name. Like, there's no point. They're not different people.
Okay, so, like, Lucia is very, very, very cynical. You know, she's the one that her father is in prison, her brothers, too. Yeah, she's been murdering people with sex for vengeance.
Like, she is Lucky Santiago.
We love her so much. And so this guy that's with her is, like, super affable, but he's also, like...
He's a farmer.
You feel like he's, like, the barrel-chested, like sort of, like, pudgy-built dude. Like...
Yeah, he's the big old sweetheart bear.
Not what you expect for her, but, like... So he's, like, they're, like, having, you know, conversations and talking, and she gets swept away, and he rescues her. And they have sex, and it's so amazing that they instantly fall in love. And, like, she's like, oh, this guy. But she is, like, super into him, too. And I think it's because it's the first person that's, like, been not a piece of shit to her.
But she's still got her plan. And her plan is that she still has this cross. And what she's going to do, the first time they get somewhere with the pawn shop, is she's even, like, worked out the exact dialogue in her head. She's going to bargain that thing into not just money, but also into a passport. And then she's going to get to Switzerland and get her money.
They go to this, like, whatever town. They're in this town, and that's what she does. She's like, they have already had sex. Like, he has totally been like, marry me. And she's like, okay. And
he's had his farm taken away by, like, the national government, but he, like, thinks they're going to get it back one day, and he has this, and she's in it too.
He was the sweetest of the guys.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'll be back. And she does, and she's like, talks to this guy who, like, a pawn shop owner to sell the cross, and she's also going to get a passport. She's ready. She's going. And she comes back, and he's basically being goaded by these, like, Franco, whatever, nationalist, like, supporters. And
there's the stupidest bar fight.
It's a really stupid bar fight, and he gets, like, stomach stabbed. Mm-hmm. And, like, so there's a point where Lucia, like, could just leave, because her appointment is at 8 p.m. She's going to get her passport and go. But then, you know, this guy that she...
And, of course, she's taking him to a church, because this is the constant thing about the church as friend or enemy, I guess.
Yeah, and so she ends up staying.
Like, she goes and tells the cops that there's a man who's been stabbed, knowing that he's going to go to jail, which is funny because she should know that he's going to get garroted.
Like,
but they get her
she also gets arrested.
Yeah, she knows that if she does that, she's probably going to get caught, and she does. So they both are in jail. Okay, so that's Lucia. That's plot one. Now, let's go to Graciela, who is the most beautiful one, but also the most traumatized one.
The most damaged. She's with Rodrigo, and Rodrigo is driving him crazy because she just doesn't talk. And he's like, he's just talking, and she's not conversing at all. And he doesn't know that she just got, like, department store raped, and he doesn't know her backstory. You find out again. Like,
but also, it's all that she doesn't want to, like, say anything because she doesn't want to admit that she wants to fuck him so bad.
Yeah.
Is weird.
Like, she's super into him.
Yeah. And they've been just, like running in the fucking ditches for 2 days. Like, that's their acquaintance. She is somebody who is terrified of her own big passions and emotions because what happened to her at 14 obviously has, like, stuck with her.
So they end up going to, seeking refuge in a cave, and he's like, I'll be back.
And he also says, we don't have to explore further in here.
Yeah. And he's like,
and then the wolf pups come out.
And then all of a sudden these little wolf puppies come out, and she's like, oh no. And then, it flashes back to him coming in, and, like, a wolf, like, he's fighting a fucking wolf, and so she bashes the wolf's head in with a rock, and so we leave them leaving the cave with these two fucking wolf pups that are just like,
well, there's a single wolf mom out there somewhere.
I hope so, because I was like, Jesus, this fucking book is just killing everything. I hate this book. So they get outside in the grass and basically fuck it out, and she starts talking, so good for her.
And they decide that they are in love, and they're getting married at, like, the first possible convenience.
Wife's up, yeah.
So that's it for Graciela.
And then we go to Megan, and Megan has, like, the most complex story. Because
okay, before, like, there's any more with Megan, we go, and of course, we've read books. We haven't read this book, but we've read books, so we understand how this is going to tie in.
Yeah.
There is a boss business bitch in New York City who's dying of cancer, but nobody knows she's dying of cancer. And so what she's doing is, like, before it's too late, I have to find her. And we're all like, yeah, okay, we got one orphan. We got
one blonde. We got one blonde that's not a...
Yeah, so we're not stupid, right?
What is it, the Andalusians that are usually the blonde Spaniards?
God, don't ask me. But yeah, I mean, obviously Spaniards are not all dark in coloration, but yeah.
Sorry.
It was obvious. Okay, also one of them was named Megan. Which it's not her original name anyway. It's just something from a soap opera. So that's like a kind of a cute little diversion. But so anyway, so Ellen Scott is like, she's the richest whatever in the whatever, and she gets one of her people to go. Like, what I need you to do is track down an orphan at this orphanage, in this area of Spain. Don't ask any questions. What you need to do if you're doing that is either have people who you can trust to tell the actual truth to, or you have like 6 people looking at one part of it. Because immediately this guy figures out what happened, which was, are y'all ready for what happened? This is amazing. Okay, so Ellen had been like a factory worker.
In Indiana.
And the factory owners, like the big pharmaceutical company or whatever, I don't remember what they sell.
The big son.
He comes in and she saves him from being made into like a paste on the floor by a falling I-beam or something. Okay? So they get married.
She gets hit by, like, basically, like, it's kind of like in, the best way to put it, in my favorite all-time movie. Well, one of them. Mannequin. So in Mannequin, when Estelle Getty is standing out in front of the department store and the sign comes swinging, like it comes loose and is going to hit Estelle Getty, and Andrew McCartney comes and pushes her out of the way, and like he's then just swinging from the sign. People know what I'm talking about. That's what happens. So she's in the hospital and she wakes up and she's like, oh, my missed wages. Oh no. And like she ensorcels the president's son and also like his keeper by how good-hearted she is.
Yeah, which is funny considering what happens.
Yeah,
because they get married, but it turns out that so it's his brother. It's his brother's company because like the dad left it to just his brother, and he just like works there. Like it's not like a 50-50. It's not a 60-40. It's nothing. And so but she's like, it's fine because they don't have any kids. Okay, so if we just keep our heads down and shit, we will get everything. Well, then, goddamn, if her sister-in-law doesn't get knocked up, well, like motherfucker. So like, what are we gonna do now? So what happens is they are all on a plane. In Spain, and the plane goes down. The
plane in Spain falls mainly in the
plane
rains.
Yeah.
With babies attached.
Yes. And so what happens is everybody but the 2 of them dies. And they're like, woo, I guess we own the company now. They're like in this sodden field of wreckage. Well, I guess we own the company now. And then they see the little kid, like the toddler, like, well, motherfucker. And I can promise you Ellen was about to smother that child. But then like her husband saw her and she's like, okay, you know what we had to fucking do? We had to go down. Like, look, we're just going to walk 20 miles, and we're going to leave this child at a farmhouse, okay?
Like, she is just, like...
Not the next farmhouse, because then they're going to, like, know,
Yeah, but it was just so, like... And what's hilarious, so once they just drop this baby off, and she, like, convinces her weak-willed husband to do this, they get home, and they find out that the brother had left he was like, you've been doing such a good job, and you and your wife are so stand up, like, we give the company to you, and we leave $1 million to our daughter.
In other words, there was a new will they didn't know about.
Yes. And so, and the husband's like, oh, we got to go get her. She's like, fuck that child.
Well, how the hell are we going to explain that now, right?
She is like, fuck your baby. That baby is fine. He's like, but can we at least set up a trust? She's like, no.
No, they will notice that.
Like,
so, and then her husband dies of like being a pussy. Like in a year.
A year later. So she's just in charge of the company.
It's been 25 years. Yeah. So she is like now dying of cancer. And she's like, well, shit. All these people suck. I guess I might as well find the baby I punted out of this fucking airplane.
That baby's gonna forgive me because I gotta teach her business.
Yes.
With a capital B.
So, I mean, anybody who is like got 3 brain cells to rub together and make a fire knows that has to be Megan.
The one blonde.
The one blonde.
Who's not Andalusia.
And who we know is an orphan.
Yes.
And grew up in an orphanage. So, what's happening with Megan is that Megan is with Jaime.
She's having the best time.
Yeah.
She is having adventures because she was a very adventurous little girl who always came up with like capers and had like this, big imagination.
So it's Jaime.
Like, like, what was hilarious is, like, in the orphanage, she tried to unionize the orphanage.
It's amazing.
And I love that. Like, you know, she was like, orphans for better food.
Yeah.
You know, and so, like, obviously she's going to be horny for Jaime.
This is the bigger group because it's her and this dude. Like, there's another revolutionary guy and this woman, Amparo, who is fucking Jaime.
And, like, Megan's like, this is the hottest bitch I've ever seen. Because, you know, she wears red lipstick and she wears a beret and a jaunty.
Like, if Amparo hadn't been such a fucking cunt, maybe they could have had a happy threesome. Yeah.
I loved yeah.
So they have all these plans. And I mean, like, obviously, like, the countryside loves Jaime. So, like, he's always getting, like, skirting around, like, being caught, which is amazing because he does dumb shit all the time because everybody knows him. There's always a brother or a cousin.
And what's interesting is at first he's like, because he has no time for the church. He has no time for Megan, but Megan proves herself to be, like, super resourceful. So they're at, like, a hideout, and all of a sudden the police or the military police.
It's a castle, weirdly.
Yeah, the police or the military police show up, and they're like, let us in. And, you know, Megan, like, is quick thinking enough that she answers the door, and she's like, oh, thank God you guys are here. My son has, like... Typhoid, and he needs help. And, like, they're like, we out, you know. And Jaime's like, hey.
But, of course, Amparo is like, he's looking at her.
Yeah.
But it becomes clear as this goes on that there's a mole. There's a rat.
A dirty rat. So...
And Jaime, I keep going to call him Jamie. I'm sorry. Jaime is convinced that it's the other guy. But turns out it's Amparo who's upset about the fucking, you know?
Yeah, and so how you find out is they're at another town, and Amparo has told everybody that Jaime is going to be in the town square at such and such a time, and Megan overhears it, so she runs down there, and, like, just as the cops are going to descend, she shows up and, like, pretends...
She steals somebody's baby.
Yeah, she pretends it's, like, a domestic, like, argument.
I can't believe that you would just go and, you know, like that
yeah,
kind of thing.
and so, like, and he catches on real quick, and so they have, like, again, stunning escapes. Meanwhile, Akoka is, like, getting more and more infuriated.
Well, he's getting more pressure from the Opus Dei or whatever.
Yeah, Opus Dei is like, look, bitch. And, you know, he's like, there's only so many people I could have raped and murdered to, like, you know, get my point across. So he keeps trying to catch Jaime. Anyway, so they all converge back together, and they're in basically Jaime's old stomping ground turf.
And yet there's another bullfight.
Oh my God, there's another fucking
And
bullfight.
Megan's all like hot for the bullfight.
Oh, she loves the bullfight.
Yeah, because she wants to think that her father is a toreador.
Yeah, like, I think it's just, like, you know, coming up with, like, these fanciful things.
Yeah, but she's hot for the bullfight.
Yeah,
which,
so she's watching the bullfighting, and then they end up getting surrounded. But because everybody in town knew...
Yeah, they're in the Basque part of this country now.
Yeah, and so, like, they are about to cause a riot. Like, if they arrest this man, it's going to cause a riot. So they all make their way. They get out there, like, going towards safety. I don't know how Megan ends up with Tyler or Tucker or whatever the fuck his name is.
Like, he just pops up. He says, hey, are you this orphan from this time? Like, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's like, hey, by the way. And she's like, yeah. And she tells Jaime, because her and Jaime have already, like, proclaimed their love and, like, sealed the deal. And
which is wild. She's like, I'll be back. She's not. It's years later.
Yeah. So what happens is, like, they make a narrow escape. Ellen's guy finds Megan. So,
and this whole thing with Ellen's guy, too, because he was going to try to blackmail Ellen, but Ellen is
knew.
like, yeah, she's already put more money in different places than that.
She's amazing. So, okay. Graciela, who is, like, all set to marry Rodrigo, like, once they get to safety, she realizes, like she loves Rodrigo, but she loves the church more.
Like, they're literally at the altar, and she's conflicted, and she's like, no, you know what? No, I suddenly know what's right. I'm going back to the convent.
I'm going to become the mother. Like,
she leaves him at the altar for Jesus.
She does. She says, I'm already married. She has a very, like, Agnes of God moment.
It's very sincere. I mean, like, I had no complaints with it.
Like, and then you find out, like, flash forward, like, she's she's the mother superior. Like, it's great. Lucia was, like, getting ready to go. She had gone to Switzerland to get her bank account, and she's got like $5 million or something.
$13 million.
Yeah, it's insane. And she's like,
gotta go to Rio.
she's going to go to Rio. She gets 2 plane tickets because she was thinking about Roberto, and then she ends up on the plane by herself.
Well, because she realizes that he wants his amazing farm that he wants. But then, 2 chapters later, nothing else has happened.
So what has happened is, Megan goes to New York, where she becomes a business... she goes from being... she becomes a business tycoon. And... she's best life living, and then she finds out that Jaime...
no, she's on an airplane, and she sees the New York Times. Remember that guy? He got arrested, and they're gonna kill him.
Oh, yeah, Jaime.
It's 3 years later.
Oh, my God, yeah. Jaime, her ex-BF, boyfriend, is gonna be... So what gets set up is the most elaborate
Oh, my Jesus
jailbreak.
Christ. So what she tries to do is call a New York City lawyer to go do Spanish international law. Well, anyway, that doesn't really work. And then after that, you only see it from the outside. So you see all these things. And, of course, they're ready for all these people to try all these things. So there's a car bomb.
They're going to garrote this man. That is the thing. They're garroting.
So they have it locked down like fuck. That they won't let the priest in. Because, of course, you as the reader are expecting all these things to be,
There's a car bomb.
Yeah. There's, an airplane. There's all these things. What it turns out to be is that... that Megan just had so much fucking money that she could bribe the entire executional apparatus of the state.
So yeah,
they smuggle him out in a body bag, and she gets her boyfriend.
Yeah, so it ends up they take the white van with his body essentially from Spain to France, and they boop boop unzip, and all of a sudden he's like. Pops up and she's like, hey boo, and he's like, hey, and they have some wine, and I was like, this is not a sustainable relationship, but whatever. But the biggest surprise and probably the best part of the book is while that's happening, you have Lucia reading the newspaper. She's like, good for them, and she's on a farm in France.
So she
with
came
2
back
kids
with all of her money to have a farm with her dude.
With Roberto. She's got 2 kids, and they keep joking, their son, who's the oldest, is, very staid and whatever, but she's got a daughter that's going to be a hellraiser. And it's, it was really cute that, Lucia ends up having the most traditional,
Because she chose it herself.
Yeah,
I like
great.
that. But so Courtney was sure that all these people, except for Megan, were going to die.
Oh, I did. This book was hard for me, but again, it's the nun factor. So.
See, okay, I do not endorse this book. I do not approve of this book in any legitimate way. This book is obviously garbage, but I read this book in about 8 fucking hours. All right, I read this book.
It's a very quick read, and I think it does lead into questions really well. And I think we have to kind of maybe adapt. I mean.
It's just a lot of people. Is all.
Well, big dick energy or big dick energy. I think if you look at the guys that are romantic leads, they were all good dudes.
Yeah, I mean, except for that one of them is also a terrorist who killed a lot of people with bulls.
He did kill a lot of people with bulls.
Babies and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. He's extremely convinced of the rightness of this cause.
I feel like this book is this very weird, I think it's an interesting point of time of when this came out, and pre-terrorism really affecting the United States.
That's not true at all, dude. In the 80s?
Well, no, but what I'm saying is domestic terrorism.
Okay, no, I think it's more that Basques are white people.
Well, okay.
Because these are not Middle Eastern people, I mean, the PLO was terrifying. And Cubans and all were terrifying. And right,
but what I'm saying is there was always such this, I feel post 9/11 things.
Oh, that's a whole other ball of wax.
Obviously shifted, and I feel how people treated domestic terrorism, people don't write about it in a romantic way as much as I mean, this is.
I kind of feel like people have always made exceptions for things that in America are quote unquote freedom fighters. So, and I mean, please understand that I am not qualified to talk about Basques. And
no, but
it doesn't affect us in any way. So those are freedom fighters, whereas terrorists are people we're scared of.
That is what I'm trying to say, is that I feel like it's this romanticized thing. I mean, it's how we get. We do a lot of romanticizing of, especially
pirates
or white the IRA, like, you know, these white and like these white kind of,
because we've never read an IRA romance, but I don't know if there are any, but I bet there are,
like these white Christian, you know, affiliated like things. Like these are freedom fighters versus, I mean, yes, obviously this is a time of terrorism. I'm not saying that, but you know, but
these are white guys. These are not, you know, this guy is not like, you know, fighting Israel. This guy is not fighting, you know. And obviously that's to the people at the time, and probably to now, super different. And so, like, you know, you could get behind, honestly, this is kind of, you're right when you say Hemingway, I feel like. Yeah. That, you know, like, this is still like a Spanish Civil War sort of thing.
I feel like it was very much because, like, you know, we kept talking about Franco and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's very much like Sidney Sheldon's like, I'm gonna do a Spain war book, you know? And again, y'all come for us. It's fine. It felt for me, this is not, I didn't love it, but. I'm not proud to have been. No, if I had read this as a child, I was like into it, but.
So the guys are good within the confines of the book. Yeah. But outside of the confines of the book, they're a sack of murderers.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, I think what's interesting is, like, they all get, like, beguiled by having sex with these, like, what's happening is they are essentially this hyper masculinity, like, blah, 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 you know, in the name of Spain, what the fuck ever. They're only ensorcelled with these women insofar that these are all, like, nuns and objects of being the most pure thing that they can be. Now, who's to say that Rodrigo or Roberto or whoever wasn't raping women or doing horrible things? But because, you know, we have freedom fighter nun, they seem like okay guys. Like, they're all for sure pieces of shit.
I mean, we know that Jaime killed a bunch of civilians at the very beginning of the book.
Infants.
Yeah, babes in arms. So, you know. Yeah. So would you talk shit with her about the heroine? Actually, I really did like all the nuns.
I did really like all the nuns. I think
I mean, they're obviously, like, weirdly sexualized, idealized ideas of women who have had a trauma in their lives. But I liked that they were all different. I liked them. I wanted the best for them.
Yeah, I did too. I think that the nuns were really, you know, they were interesting. They, like you said, they all had kind of different personalities and whatnot.
I mean, a lot of their personalities are just different because different traumas.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing. They're all trauma informed, but, like, you could do worse than these three.
Yeah, sure.
Four.
So back to all the bitch. The weird thing about this book is that it's all about a group of women, but they spend very little time together.
I will say, like, what I do think are, like, the strong points of it is, like, when we're in the convent before everything happens and seeing how convent life happens. And then I thought what was a really interesting, and he kind of put it in there as like a sentence, and I wish he had explored it a little bit more. There's a part where they're all like, so Lucia is an outlier, obviously, and Teresa is an outlier for different reasons because Teresa is so much older. But Graciela and Megan are roughly the same age. So there's a really interesting point in the book where they all reunite. And the women had learned, because they're in a silent order, they had learned sign language.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so when Megan and Graciela get together, because they're with all these dudes, they want to talk, but
I want to know what the nun sign language is for doing it.
But, you know, like, Graciela, like, is signing to...
Like, I'm going to marry him. I fall in love with him. I'm going to marry him.
Yeah, like, it was really... I really thought that was great, that they're having a conversation, a private conversation, in front of all these dudes, and the dudes are aware that it's happening, and they're kind of, like, transfixed. I thought that was really cool. I thought that, to me, was the best part of the book.
Sadly, I did not appreciate that there was one woman freedom fighter, and that she was... Like, essentially,
obviously, like,
she turned against him. She said she turned against him because he won't, like, let go of the cause, whatever. But really, it's because, like, he was making eyes. If she had been more
like, hey, motherfucker, you murdered hundreds upon hundreds of people in Paloma, I'd have been more on her side than...
You want to nail Megan.
She's blonde and I'm brunette, you motherfucker.
Right. Like, it was a hair color business, and I hate a hair color business.
Yeah, but I do feel like, I thought Lucia... being at first, like Lucia ends up having like the biggest heart out of all of them. Like, you know, because at first she's like, fuck these bitches, I'm out.
Well, she's never had to exercise her caring part.
But then that she was like, all right.
Her heart grew 3 sizes.
She's like, I got to take care of them. I got to make sure they're okay. I don't know. Like, I felt like her and then that scene that happened between Megan and Graciela were really like interesting.
I just really wish I know why they all split up. It was so that they could each other in little romance things. I think it would have been a stronger book had it been more about like had there been more opportunity for the women to spend
now
more time.
my big issue with this is, and I guess it fits. I don't know if this fits here or if it fits more into the ScarJo question. My problem is that the only characters that we really explore, like, because Teresa was hella interesting. Like, her backstory was really interesting. But because she was, like, in her 60s and no longer a sexually viable, like, person, she is the one that has her horrific demise. Like, she has this absolutely horrible ending. And her backstory, like, was like, she had been on a radio program and, you know, somebody was going to scout her for movies, but then her sister, like, set her up to be like...
That's another bad back to the bitch business. Bad, evil sister.
But, like, I felt like she was really interesting, but the way that her whole... Like, my problem with this book was that I felt like a lot of times the women were playthings to make terrible shit happen.
No, agree, especially sexually.
Yes, and like I felt like I was like you knew it was going to happen from the jump. That Teresa, because she was in her 60s, like this one's getting a bad end because she has no viability, according to Sidney, who was like probably 80 when he wrote this.
Oh, probably, yeah.
That she is no longer a sexually viable thing.
Yeah, so she has no value with her.
Woman.
Yeah, as a woman. So we're gonna dump her to show how serious things are, right?
Yes. Like this is
how
the one
bad
that
Akoka is.
The rest of them are gonna like have make passionate love. I feel like this book could have been really, pun intended, revolutionary if you'd had old Teresa and like some guy who's like some old freedom fighter who is like a Sam Elliott minus like hating gay cowboy.
Yeah,
like some kind of like old freedom fighter, like, and them having anything that would have been really powerful.
Yeah, and
really good. And like even if you'd
had
her killed off then, like, but because she's the old one, she has to be the one that goes insane.
And it's made clear not only is she old, and they talk about her being unattractive when she was younger, but then like, oh my god, she gains a couple pounds, and the book literally calls her gross.
Yes, there's the part where she like gains some weight, and they said like she went from being like neat and trim to gross.
Yeah.
So again, yeah, this book, I mean, it's compelling in a lot of ways, but it's very problematic.
So when it comes to consent, is this book more Robin Thicke or Marvin Gaye?
This book is garbage. So like, this book, I appreciate that we're trying to put very realistic backstories on people as to why they would join a convent, not to mention a Cistercian convent.
I mean, I'm sure most people's backstories about why they would join a Cistercian convent are not very dramatic.
Fine. Yeah, well, I don't...
Well, no, I suspect a lot of people just join it because, like, that's what speaks to them as a person. You don't have to have a big old sexual assault business, or, I mean, like, you know, it's just what you find meaningful in your life, which is maybe not exciting.
My thing with this book is it felt very much like that Game of Thrones thing that I don't enjoy.
It's cruel to be cruel. And because it's titillated by the cruelty.
And I think it's also like, well, we don't understand women enough to know that women can have trauma without it being sexual.
Oh, yeah. That's the only thing they can think of.
And it's not to say that, like, I mean, we have our fair share of sexual trauma, but like the only agency a lot of times are like trauma or like serious storylines that women are given in books and media and shows is sexual kind.
Sometimes you get a miscarriage.
Sometimes you do get a miscarriage.
Sometimes you get a miscarriage.
Like as a fake out abortion. If listen to our Opposites Attract episode.
Yeah, that's great.
But this is my problem with it, is that I felt like this book really used women as like sexual playthings.
And there's definitely a leering sensibility to it.
Yes.
Okay, so Graciela is 14 in her backstory, and there is definitely like a prurient interest in it, okay? Courtney's like leaning over to catch that box of wine with her little pinky.
My little raccoon claws. No, I think at no time are you ever not convinced that a man wrote this book.
Oh no, you would never think, oh well, yeah, who's the name of the woman who ghostwrote this chapter? It's like the whole breasted boobily business, you know, like somebody's always been thinking about these women's tits, like 100% of the time, like and which is, I mean, fine, whatever. You know, that's not that gross. It's just one of the things that we expect because we grew up in this society.
I mean,
but when they're talking about,
I fully endorse I fully endorse the Florence Pugh like fuchsia outfit that she wore with her tits just out. Now, I wouldn't do it because I'd be like, dinner, like my tits are out. But it's also just the way that, like, again, you have Teresa, who has spent 30 plus years of her life in the convent, and it's like she's still reduced to just being a body. And this is what they say. They say it to the 60-year-old
It is always
woman.
leering.
And it's like, oh, well, your face ain't much, but you still got a pretty decent body on you for being an old nun. Mm-hmm. And I was like, again, what place is that? Where are we that all these like Catholic boys are going to
if we are lining up to gang rape somebody, do we care if they're attractive?
It was.
How is it even possible that we're all going to gang rape? I mean, like, are we all going to get it up? Like, really, all of us? Like, say there's 20 of us. Now, I don't have a dick. I rent one when
Wouldn't you just be like, no, I'm good?
Or, I mean, like maybe you would, like, just kind of, like, act like you did because you couldn't really make it happen.
And here's
for
the thing,
you.
like, here.
I mean, this doesn't even work
if
in
we're doing
practice.
a law of, like, ratios and statistics, like, most of these dudes are Catholic, probably.
Oh, they almost all had to be.
They're not.
These are Catholic people, I mean, Spanish people in 1976.
They're not raping a nun. We don't even talk to them. We're like, if you see one, you're like, shit, you gotta go. Like, well, yeah, let's do that. You know, like maybe you get one or two.
You know,
one or two, but you're not gonna get 25 infantrymen who are like, yes, let me rape.
Well, that's because you don't know about Opus Dei. I'm sorry, it's Opus Mundi, I think.
Oh my God. So,
I mean, they're all terrified of the secret society. If you don't rape this nun.
If you don't rape this nun, you're going to hell.
You're not going to get a raise, I can tell you that. You're not getting anywhere in this fucking army if you don't rape this nun.
So.
Which, I mean, I realize it's flippant because I do know that rape is used constantly as a weapon of war. And so obviously they managed to make it work somehow. But it is so preposterous in this book.
Yes.
Okay? I mean, like, it's not that I'm not taking seriously the idea of rape as a weapon of war. But it is so silly in this book.
Yes. I feel like these women's sexual apparel is akin to, like, if you're watching the new Jurassic Park things, where it's like, just, you got dinosaurs, and what we're going to do is blow up the fucking dinosaurs, because what else are we going to do? Like, I did not enjoy, like, I felt like everything that was in it was contrived, and yeah, I did not enjoy that.
We left out like half the things that happen in this book because things are constantly happening to these people.
So much is happening.
Like these things, literally, things just happen to them. It's like they're playing D&D and there's like a random encounter
Oh my God.
table. Oh, wolf! What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. So anyway, when it comes to consent, this book is not great.
We just did that one.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm wrapping that up.
Oh,
it's not great. It's not great.
I mean, I feel like, you know what? When it comes to consent, it's R. Kelly.
Oh!
That's who it is.
Although, actually, when the women are with men that they have chosen, it's very consensual.
Yeah.
It's just that there is a lot of assault in this book in the past and the present.
Sydney should have gotten 20 years.
Oh, absolutely. So how badly are you judging your mom off for reading this book?
Oh my God, she would have read this shit.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody read this shit.
I think probably my mom would have been more into this.
My mom, I know I stole Bloodline from her bookshelf. She probably did read this shit.
I mean, it's very compelling. Sidney Sheldon has a way of writing. You know what? He writes very similar the most contemporary person I can think of that like does this similar type of writing is like Donna Tartt. Like,
I found her a slow read.
oh, but see, like, okay, so Goldfinch, you can tell that.
I didn't read that one.
So it's very written for TV. Like,
See, I think of it as like Dan Brown, although, you know.
yeah, see, but when I think about like, I feel like it probably is like, it's not like Little Friends or any of her other ones, but like Goldfinch is like written.
I only read The Secret History.
It's ready to be a movie. Like it is. And so that's what, he cut his teeth. That's what he is. He's a screenwriter. And so it's very readable and like, it's very compelling and it's trash, but it's good. It's trash in the best way that it's trash.
And it's the kind of thing, okay, so I think that there is something to like historical fiction that makes people think they've learned something, even though they're they're essentially consuming.
Oh, we didn't learn a damn thing.
Oh, I know.
We learned about the bulls.
This is a fucking
did not
Happy
learn anything
Meal.
about the Basque.
No, but this is the Happy Meal. But I bet like all these things kind of make people feel.
Well, you like how
like
and that is how like after you read like Dan Brown, you're like, well,
Yeah.
I what the Da Vinci Code. That motherfucker, like, I will say the difference is, like, that motherfucker at least puts enough history into it that you're like, well, this is 100% accurate. Like, I know that a bunch of Spanish soldiers are not just going to be cool with raping some nuns, like, because if they're raised any way that I'm raised, like, no.
You haven't raped a single nun.
I have...
Not
if
this
I
month.
see one coming, again, I'm like, they know, and I just run away. I don't even know what they know.
You been to my mama's Christmas party?
Well, your mama is now, like, so far removed from it. It has to be in the habit. Like, if the habit's
Back in the habit.
I'm like, shit, I gotta go. Like, I get so, like, ah.
See, in my experience, nuns don't wear habits. They wear sensible skirts.
Oh, God,
You know, like the khaki skirt business, you know. My mom used to, aside from having been a former nun, she used to volunteer at a Catholic hospital. And so, like, yeah, like all the nuns, they wear cardigans. They wear, like knee-length, sensible khaki skirts.
I still got the, like, some kind, like, there's at least enough head thing to let you know, like.
Not always. Yeah. There could be one right now. You wouldn't know it. It could be sneaking up behind you right this second.
I would know. Because my guilt detector would go the fuck off. Like, that's the thing. Like, there was a time that I worked at Dillard's. I worked in the home goods section. It was like a part-time job, and a nun came in, and I was like, you guys have to help her. They're like, what is it? And I was like, she's gonna know. She's gonna know. What is she gonna know? I'm like, she knows. Just, I can't.
Well, on that note, yeah, everybody's mama read that. Would Scarlett Johansson be in the movie? Probably.
I feel like this thing tries to do... It's not... There's no race in it aside from, like...
The Moor.
And again, I don't know what a Spanish... like, I think it's one of those where... I don't know. I think it's... You know what? It reminded me a lot of... I have a friend who's rewatching all the Bond movies.
Yeah, my husband and I did that not too long ago. Woo!
Well, I feel like it's very topical because, like, there's some things, like, that they do great.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like, you know, in the Sean Connery era, more like Bonds, where it's like, this is just a gay guy. He's not a good or a bad gay guy. He's gonna die, but he's a gay guy.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing.
But the one in Haiti is...
No, I'm not, but I'm saying, like, you know, where you're just like, at least there's some kind of representation. Like, I don't know. Like, this was not... I'm not looking to Sidney Sheldon for any kind of, like, whatever.
No, that's the thing. I'm like, what was I expecting? Was I expecting, you know, like...
Yeah, like a thoughtful, like...
No, this is going to be garbage. I thought it was going to be garbage. It was garbage.
Like, yeah,
you know?
you put some Spaniards at it, but, like, then you just had everybody raping nuns, so I don't know.
Yeah, like, it was supposed to be about Basque liberation.
We didn't learn anything. I learned nothing about Basque people from this book.
Nothing about Basque language, nothing about, like, Basque demands.
I would have even enjoyed, like, it would have been that much better if he had put, like, a chapter, like, with just a summation of, like, what happened.
Right, yeah. Like, what does Jaime want?
Yeah.
other than the Spaniards to leave. I mean, that's obviously, but like, what is their list of demands?
Yeah,
not clear. Yeah, so yeah, she'd probably be in them.
Okay, so you're not leaving the house looking like
no outfits at all. This is how you know a man wrote this.
Get some. And I wish I could go, like, I'd like to go back and read it now that I know what's going on. Because when they're with the evil fake monk.
Oh, yeah, they're trying on outfits, and they're trying to look, not freak themselves out too much, but they're also trying to look normal.
Yeah, and, like, we got some fun, like, descriptions of things. But
Not
I was also,
enough.
I was like, somebody's got to get raped. And, like, what happened?
Yeah.
Somebody got raped.
You can tell a man wrote a book because there's no outfits in it.
No outfits
whatsoever. Oh, my God. Would your 12-year-old self have dog-eared any pages? My 12-year-old self remembered that rape scene very clearly, and the thing is, I'll admit, I found it interesting. Because,
well, I think everybody, and I do think that that's the thing about these books, and especially for our age bracket, it's titillating. It's interesting. It's at a time when you don't understand really what is, like, you don't understand sexual violence. Mm-hmm. It is an interesting as fuck thing happening.
Yes.
Like, you're like, oh, you know, like, it is, but... And it's not to say there's not merit in that, like...
No, yeah, you should absolutely have your weird 12-year-old sex fantasies.
Exactly, like...
But, I mean, the rest, most of the sex in it is very... It's just a fade to black, which is weird considering that he just wrote like a nun gang rape business.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's kind of like
he
Nora
cannot
Roberts.
write consensual stuff.
No. He doesn't know how to write sex and people
like,
want to.
What's happening? If people both want it? No, fuck that.
No, he's all into it when nobody does.
No, yeah. But then you get all the nitty gritty, like whatever. But I mean, if I had been 12 reading this book, I would have been very titillated. I'd have been super into it.
Yeah, see, my 12-year-old self would.
And I would have loved, like, the whole, like, nuns in the woods with, like, freedom fighters. Like, that was very sexy.
It's really written for 12-year-olds. It's not written for
really
42-year-olds.
Like, it reminded me a lot of, like, those CBS movies of the week where it'd be like, our lady hiker gets, like, abducted by mountain men. And you're like, ooh, you know, like, you know it's gross, but it's also like, ooh.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Not without my daughter. Yeah.
Okay. What pairs nicely with a dumpster fire?
Gotta be like a Spanish wine, but not a nice one.
You know what I was thinking would be great for this? It's been on the TikToks.
Oh, Lord. What's she watching the TikToks
It's
for?
like...
Aren't you too old for that shit?
It's like a Malbec, and it's like Malbec and Coke.
Courtney.
It's not me. It's a Spanish thing. It's a Spanish drink. I'm not drinking it. I'm saying it's like...
By Spanish TikTokers who are like 11?
No. You know what?
No, you're not. We're finishing this fucking episode.
We're not, but I'm going to look at, like, it's a thing. It is an actual thing. It's like Malbec and Coke. It's a Spanish drink. And it sounds like garbage.
I think they're just telling you that. They're just telling you, like how people in Australia talk about drop bears.
All right, ho. Okay, this is called... It's a drink. All right, hold on.
Well, yeah, it's technically a drink.
Calimocho. So... It's a Spanish drink. I like that they say it has a sophisticated flavor. It does not. It's red wine and Coke. It's dry wine, balances the sweet cola. It's made in... Shit, we should have done this. You know where it's made? Basque country.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like appropriate for this book. That sounds like a headache and a vomit in a
Doesn't sound terrible, but I mean, it's a Basque drink. I keep seeing it. I was like,
Our Basque listeners are just shaking their heads.
They're so mad
They're
at us.
firing up YouTube.
They're ready to go. So I guess if we're having our calimochos, should a person in the 21st century read this book?
Okay, I hated it less than you did. I kind of secretly enjoyed it. I was not proud of myself. I didn't think it was good or anything, but I thought it was a blast.
I do have to say, like, so for our listeners, you know, we've kind of read things like... We've read this one on the same week that we read Opposites Attract. And so, like, I had hated this one
I'm so angry at that book.
until I read Opposites Attract. And I'm like, well, now it's not so bad. I think I really wish... I think the thing that makes me crazy about Sidney Sheldon is, like, he's obviously a riveting writer.
He's wasting his potential.
Yes, he writes incredibly well, and he writes really compelling things. I just wish that he would write women not as dolls.
Yeah.
Because I think that he's really, like, I mean, and I think even when he tries, like, Megan's a fleshed out character. Lucia's a fleshed out character.
Yeah, Lucia's a caricature, but she's a really fun one.
Yeah, I mean, but they're both kind of fleshed out. Like, they're interesting.
Yeah.
It's the other, like, women that he put, like, the man should not write for more than one woman character. Like, because he runs out of things. Like, he writes one female character really well and then just fucks it all up.
So in Bloodline, there's one female character, and it's still ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like, you're completely right that you never forget that this is a man. You would never for one moment think, like, it's funny that my dad thought Sidney Sheldon was a woman. Like, how? How did you think that?
Aaron Spelling was on Viagra. Like,
all the time.
Yeah, it's like, it's just...
Everybody in every one of these books is breasting breastily.
Yes.
Constantly. They're all extremely aware of where their boobs are at any given moment.
Yeah. And so, again, I know that none of the Saudi Arabian listeners have lasted this long because they heard us say Sidney Sheldon and not have an orgasm and they just turned it off. But
no, they're still listening to all of our episodes and just following us.
Oh my God. So this has been, I guess, yeah, I would say, like, read it. It's interesting. It's fun. It doesn't teach you anything about Basque history. We learned more about the Basque culture just by quick looking up the Diet Coke wine thing than we did in this book. But we're bodice tipplers. This has been Sidney Sheldon's
Sands of Time.
And
by the way, why is it Sands of Time?
I don't know. There's no sands. So we don't have the answers to why this is called Sands of Time, but, we'll make up shit. So you can find out more at... find us on Twitter at BTipplers. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, Bodice Tipplers. You can find us at bodicetipplers.com. And if you'd like to throw a couple bucks our way for, helping us pay for this highly still expensive book of Sidney Sheldon, it's still like kicking it on Kindle at like $15.99. Get it, Sidney. Get it, Sidney Estate. Patreon.com/bodicetipplers. We also ask that if you don't want to give money to us, which I understand because we're garbage, you can please give money to your local reproductive rights organization.
Especially give money to direct action funds that help people specifically get travel money or babysitting or whatever you have to do to actually get to where you can have an abortion. What do you think about that, Saudi Arabia?
Fuck your bullfighting.
I don't think they have bullfighting there.
I was just saying fuck your bullfighting.
Oh, well, fuck everybody's bullfighting. Obviously.
We'll see you next time.
Bodice Tipplers is part of the Frolic Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts.